You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject that you've tuned in to hear, the fella that features on this particular edition of the podcast, is Jordan Wilson from the emerging Sydney act Valley Onda. Now, the reason for the conversation is to promote their new single, their first actually. It's called Relentless, and there's an excellent video online that I encourage you to go and have a look at during the course of your day there. So let's have a listen to what Jordan has to say. Here we go. Andy Mackay-Smith calling for our chat. So how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good, man. What's the day held for you up to this point?
The day. I'm in the studio at the moment, playing some piano.
Awesome.
Keeping out of the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Which studio are you in at the moment?
It's kind of nice. I'm actually at a dance studio where my brother works, and I'm just here playing. There's a couple of pianos here, so.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
so
here playing some tunes.
So that's your beautiful playing that I can hear on the single Relentless. Then is that the case?
Actually, yeah. I don't usually play a lot of piano on recording, but that is me.
That's good, man. Yeah.
Because we have a virtuoso piano player in the band, but yeah, that's me playing on that track.
All right, nice tempo actually on that one there. I'm a musician myself, and I listen to these sorts of things, and I love the way it's just pulling at the beat a little bit. It just gives it a bit of white knuckle tension, I think, especially with the way that it really opens up at the end there.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to create like an opening of some sort in it, and I think the bridge in the last chorus kind of does that, which is cool.
Yeah, that's a very nice.
Piano too, do you?
No, I play bass and guitar. If there's a piano around, I'll sit down and try to bash out Rocket Man or something like that, but nothing too serious. Nothing too serious.
Nice.
But I do love the piano, I must say. I was just talking to a heavy metal artist yesterday from Italy, Luca Turilli, and he's practically migrated across from the guitar to keyboards almost full-time. I think he was saying, I'm paraphrasing him here, of course, but he's someone who's known as like an Eddie Van Halen-style guitarist in terms of his technical ability. He's that competent, and he's started to create a lot more music using keyboards. So they just present so many tonal options, don't they? The guitar does as well, but there's, you've got to be in the mood for the guitar, I think. The piano is just one of those beautiful instruments that whether you're in an airport bar and it's being played over the loudspeaker, or you're in a dance studio there where it can really fill the room, that it's just a welcome accompaniment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I really do two different styles. There's a piano and a guitar, and it's like two completely different things at the moment. I just get a completely different vibe from it. It's a welcome change.
So with Relentless, did you start writing that on the keyboards, or did that come later?
I think I had it that started on the guitar, as sort of the main structure of the song. But I hadn't played it. I had it written a while ago, and I just hadn't played it and didn't want to play it on the guitar. And then I started recording with Galen in the band, and it just seemed like I just kept gravitating toward the piano at that particular time. Like, I'm coming back to the guitar a bit now. It was like a 2-year thing where I just only wanted to play the piano, really. So
were you self-taught, or did you get lessons?
I think I had some lessons real early, like, kind of bow-tied 6-year-old type of thing.
Oh, yeah, yep.
But I didn't really carry through with it. And, I think I never carried through with lessons. I got lessons for the guitar and the piano, but probably maybe for a year each. Quite young, and then sort of mostly self-taught, or off friends, obviously. Teach a lot of things.
Yeah, I've probably got to claim I'm the same way. I did lessons for 12 months like you on the bass, actually, started on the bass, believe it or not, and I just always loved John Deacon's playing out of Queen, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, these guys. I just love the way that the music was it sounded so fat and chunky, and you could just seem to drive the beat, so that's why I chose bass. But I just found that because I wasn't getting into the AMEB stuff, I wasn't actually doing the exams and all the rest of it. I was learning a lot of Beatles songs, and Eagles songs that my teacher was teaching me. And God, to a 14-year-old kid back in 1993, that's not exactly what I was signing up to play. You know what I'm saying? I love it now, of course. I think it's fantastic music now, but not back then. But The guitar came a little bit later for me.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, the guitar.
It's a good entry.
Yeah, I think if you do it for a year like what you've done, at least you've got a firm grounding in the technique, and then it's really up to you where you take it. That's always been my philosophy.
Exactly. Yeah, no, totally. I sort of stayed away from lessons under some advice from other people, like to try and get your own style, really, you know, to being overly technical. But, you know, like as I get older, you know, you see there's all sorts of different ways to do it. But yeah, the bass, all I was going to say, the bass, my God, what an instrument, you know. It seriously makes tracks.
It's interesting you say that, yeah, because there is some songs that you just can't even hear it. It's not even really there, and they've not used it as a writing implement either, so therefore it plays no role. But I've always felt that if you need any groove, you have to have bass. It's as simple as that. For the music to move, it needs to have that fat wavelength just sitting underneath the mids of the guitar and between the bass drum, and without it, the music just does not move.
Yeah, no, I love a good bass line.
What's your favourite bass line? Have you got a couple of favourite ones?
I like what you know, like more like the kind of it's not quite honk tonk, but it's kind of like plop 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 bass of like, you know, like you listen to Aldous Harding.
No, tell me about it.
Oh, Aldous Harding is a great songwriter from New Zealand.
Okay.
And just where she has her bass sitting is kind of like I like to hear, you know, sort of chugging along. A lot of Dylan live kind of recording. I like the bass in that.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
I think the Desire record, the bass playing in that record is probably one of my favourites.
Yeah, I tend to come from a bit more of a heavy metal school, so guys like Bob Daisley, he's from Sydney. He's born and bred in Sydney, but he wrote Ozzy Osbourne songs for him through the 80s, and a lot of people sort of just cluing into that. This fella from Sydney went over to the UK and hooked up with a bunch of great bands and eventually arrived in Ozzy's band and saved his career as far as I'm concerned by writing all this wonderful stuff. But his bass lines are like James Jamison, you know, that all-time great R&B bassist who's on just about every major Motown hit you could probably poke a stick at. Yeah, he's very similar to him, man, and it's just a joy to isolate his melodic playing in and amongst the mixed and just turn it up a little bit and enjoy what he does.
And what about Thundercat? Are you around what he does?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, he's the guy.
Hip-hop.
Yeah, I don't mind some of the hip-hop players. I think I don't come from any school, so to speak, so don't get me wrong when I say this, but I just tend to gravitate towards some of the, like Jaco Pastorius, there's another one, a slap player, too, like Larry Graham. If I could, all of my kids' paintings and drawings that they've done for me over the years weren't up here. I used to have I'm covering my big picture of Larry Graham as I'm staring at it right now, but it's the same, my kids' pictures and stuff are pasted over the top of it. But no, the Brothers Johnson, a lot of the funk guys, Bernard Edwards out of Chic. These are the guys that... It's really weird for me, man, when I was a kid because I really loved hard rock and heavy metal, but when I started to play, I actually found that I much preferred to mimic these great R&B and disco artists, R&B, disco and funk artists. Consequently, as a lifelong fan...
Probably a good point, yeah.
Well, I think it's just because I like bass excellence, and there wasn't a great deal of that. You really had to dig and discover that in heavy metal, but with disco, man, it's pretty much the most prominent stringed instrument, actually, you know. And like Earth, Wind and Fire's bass player, whose name escapes me at the moment. Just unbelievable stuff, you know. Just I'm very guilty of being on the highway because I used to do a lot of highway driving and getting that stuff and cranking
it. For work or...
Well, yeah, a bit of work. Yeah, I used to work for Telstra, and I used to do a lot of travelling in regional, not remote, but regional locations, and in my Jeep, and I just crank up the music and make phone calls in between. You know, all on a hands-free kit, of course. I'm not saying I did anything illegal.
Of course, or speaker.
Yeah, that's it. But let's talk about this track again, okay? Because what I did, I wrote down for the benefit of the listeners, because of course I host a podcast series, so people will be listening into this and they won't have a clue what your music sounds like. So here's my best comparison for the listeners' benefit. So, Shay Shades of Sydney band Art of Fighting blend into One Republic, which mingles with haunting keys and some white knuckle tension. Okay, so I've already mentioned those last two things, but what do you think about the Art of Fighting and One Republic comparisons?
I don't really know those bands. I guess I've definitely heard of the Art of Fighting. You'll need to kind of explain to me more about what they do.
I reckon.
What do they do?
I reckon they were probably Australia's best band until Tame Impala came along. I thought.
I've definitely heard some songs from them.
That album that they released in 2001. I can't remember the name of it now. It's got kind of these architecture drawings on the front of the CD cover. Remember CDs? Remember those things? And it was just beautifully. It was sparse, it was melodic, it was epic. They were long songs. The bass was mixed very high, like a real P-bass groove. And the guy had a voice very similar to yours, actually. And it was one of those voices that didn't need to demonstrate a lot of presence to have a lot of power. Does that make sense? Like your voice does?
No. Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. I've definitely heard about it. Does the guy have long hair?
I can't remember what they look like. I even remember seeing them and probably being too drunk to remember the night, to be honest with you. But they used to play in and around. I used to be in Velveteen in Sydney, okay, and they were sort of around when we were around. And and I think they used to play at the Hope Town, probably places that are no longer there. The Annandale. What was? I can't remember. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. But probably Bat and Ball too over at Surrey Hills, if that's still there.
Yeah, that is still there. I don't know if they're doing music there, but that's still there. Yeah.
It used to be a good music venue, that one there. It was so close to the cricket ground as well that if it was a footy game or something like that on a Sunday, you know what it's like. Sometimes Hope Town was like that as well. You go and watch a band on a Sunday night after watching the footy or something.
I got the very tail end of the Hope Town, just as I was coming into the Sydney scene. So I was glad I got to see some gigs there. But yeah, but they didn't last too long once I started watching gigs, probably only a year maybe. But it was a great place to watch gigs. I loved it there.
Iconic venues. All of those ones in Sydney are iconic. But they're gone or disappearing, aren't they, as far as I understand?
Yeah, well... Hope Town has been boarded up for a long time. I don't know what's going on there, but they haven't put anything else there. It's quite strange. And there's still some venues around. I don't know about the Annandale. That's still a thing.
That's still going?
They revived it.
Yeah.
They revived it. I think they changed the sort of style of it. But it's all like we're putting on our own gig actually at our warehouse spot. It seems like a way to
good on you.
Play gigs. Yeah.
Well, that's a really smart way to do it, I think, particularly in Sydney with the lockout laws and how difficult it is to get around Sydney, being costly also. If you can sort of... What sort of a gig are you putting on? So there'll obviously be you guys there, but who else is accompanying you?
Well, it's a soft launch show for this band and for Relentless. So we've got one other guy called Riordan. He records in the studio that we have there with Galen. So he'll be opening up, and then it'll be us, and it's like a social event. So,
cool.
Some pizza and wine. Yeah.
Pizza and wine.
Cool.
Yeah. I drove past a scout hall up at Nambour, and I said was it at Nambour? I think it was up at Nambour anyway. I said to my sister-in-law, who's about 27, 28, I said, back in the day, one of my major aims was to actually try to put on a punk rock show at a scout hall. Because you used to be able to do that, but then there was all that liability shit that came in and all the rest of it, and people were and the scout halls and the community halls just locked that stuff down. That's why that stuff stopped, I think. Right. That was as it was explained to me anyway, but I would have loved to have put imagine getting like a 7-band punk rock bill and putting it on in a scout hall somewhere and just watching the kids turn up. The kids turn up with their beer cans and all the rest of it, and just you get some of the local rugby players to stand out as the security, as long as they're on the understanding they can't hurt anybody, of course. But man, those were the days. I never got to put one on though.
Well, it's about bolos now. I think you need to play in a bolo. Maybe you can.
Is that right?
Your dream. Yeah, I think so.
Well, bolos are.
Gigs in bolos.
They're going out of business, bolos. It's really weird. I don't know about Sydney, but up here there's a few that have gone out of business that never thought would. I mean, they sell alcohol. What else doesn't need an explanation, you know? So, you know, you bowl and you drink. Sounds like a good deal to me.
They can't be bothered to mow the lawn, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, oh, that's cool, yeah. But the warehouse idea is a really good one. Getting people intimate with your stuff. It's sort of friends of friends of friends then come along. Is that the aim?
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of it'll be our first gig under our belt on home turf. And just like we were looking around for a place to do it, and we're like, well, we're actually in kind of the perfect spot to do the first show. So yeah, that's happening this week.
What suburbs is it in?
It's in Chippendale.
Chippendale, okay, gotcha. That's like inner city, isn't it? Next to Uni of Sydney, I think, from memory.
It's a fancy way of saying Redfern. I think that's what I've heard.
Yeah, okay. It's a bit like that in Sydney, isn't it? Yeah, they do that a bit up here too, but yeah, probably originated in Sydney because it all does. But there's always up here they do that thing where they call up here there's Everton Park and Everton Hills, so you can guess which one carries the greater cachet. You know, the Hillsby because it means you're up higher. You know, so they subdivide the suburbs into these two names, but I'm pretty sure they even share. I could be wrong. Listeners, if you want to correct, or who cares, whatever. But I think that they've got the same postcode. Sorry, I was just going to say they've got the same postcode, but they're called something different. But up here too, the very small suburb of Tenerife, it's always been, you just called part of New Farm Tenerife, but Tenerife actually lobbied for its own residents there because it's a very well-to-do area, probably our richest suburb up here, most well-off suburb, highest median household incomes, that sort of thing. They successfully lobbied about 10 years ago to have their own postcode back. Okay. And the suburb's about...
That's serious business.
Yeah, it is. The suburb's about 10 streets wide. So if you were an out-of-towner and you didn't know you were in Tenerife, you just think you're in New Farm because New Farm is that whole area. But it's just
It's interesting.
Well, New Farm's already...
desire to have your own postcode.
Well, I suppose it's just something to sort of tell people after your fourth Chardonnay, isn't it? You know, I've got my own postcode now. I'm in Tenerife. Sorry, Tenerife people.
Well, I'm in. I don't even know. My landlord told me I'm in Chippendale, and the Google Maps tells me I'm in Darlington. I don't know where the hell I'm at, man. I'm completely confused.
Yeah,
it's fancy. It's fancy Redfern, basically.
Fancy Redfern, yeah. Well, yeah. Look, Sydney Uni. That's in Redfern, isn't it? Or you get off at Redfern, don't you?
Yeah.
You get off at Redfern.
Yeah, basically Redfern. Yeah. I mean, it's massive. It goes all the way down to Camperdown.
But it's in Sydney, right? So a bed sit probably costs $2 million or something, does it? If you're going to buy it.
Yeah, probably.
Ridiculous, you know. It's been so weird to see that in Sydney, see the properties prices go haywire like they have, and areas that, to be frank, aren't that crash hot have $2 million, $3 million, $4 million houses or what have you. It's like who's buying these places? So like the areas, you know, why would you do it? $4 million when you could move up here and probably buy something the equivalent for $600,000.
Yeah. I don't know. I've no idea. I'm not in that position yet, so
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I think
I like the area. Don't get me wrong; it's a nice place to live. But yeah, the houses are very expensive.
Yeah. Well, it's proximity to the CBD. I remember looking about 15 years ago, maybe 14 years ago, whatever, buying a place there in Sydney, but in Sydney CBD, a unit. And that's when you could buy a 2-bedroom one. And I thought at the time, you'll laugh at this, at the time it was $500,000 for a 2-bedroom unit in the CBD with a car park. And I thought, no, that's way too much. They'll come down. And now they're worth well over $1 million, no doubt. But, you know,
absolutely.
Who has a crystal ball?
No, I have one friend that got in. He got in early. And he's pretty happy about that.
Well, let's talk about the music again. So you got this single, you mentioned, it didn't escape me before, you haven't played together before in terms of live yet. So this is your first show. So what are you padding out the rest of the set with? So
it's a 3-piece at the moment. Valley Onda, there's three of us. And then I have another friend also that contributes bass and guitars. He's not playing this gig, but this weekend it'll be piano. It'll be piano and synth. Mish plays together, and then Gavin plays percussion and drums, and I play guitars.
Sweet.
And I've got a bass pedal.
Bass pedal.
As well.
Cool. Is that like
that bottom end?
Okay, yeah, I was going to say something smart, like you're using a Taurus bass pedal by Moog or something like that, or have you just got something to, you've answered the question, give you a bit of an octave below?
Yeah, it's an octave. It's like a Boss octave pedal.
Oh yeah, that'll do. Yeah, and in terms of the songs though, tell me about the set list you got planned.
Well, so we're a brand new band, right? We've all played in different sort of acts, and we kind of got together. I don't know, just pretty spontaneously. Galen and I started recording, and then Mish came in. So we've been working on just songs in the studio for quite a while. So we've got quite a good catalogue going, but now we're talking about playing live. It's kind of changing the whole feel of the band, really. We're starting to become a proper band. We've been rehearsing a lot, and we'll only play sort of 6 or 7 songs to start with.
Yep.
And they're all brand new to everyone besides Relentless, of course.
Right.
But we would hopefully just release a couple of more songs this year, and probably a longer played thing next year. Yeah.
Can we expect you up
where we're at?
Are you expecting to come up here for a tour or to go to Melbourne for some shows?
Yeah, we'll be going to Melbourne at this point. It's looking like September. Basically now we're just locking in dates. I think probably play a bit more in Sydney, July, August, and then I think by September we'll be starting to branch out to the big bad Australia, big bad Australian scene.
Yeah. Oh, you go down well up here. Based on this track, mate, you'd go down well in front of audiences here in the Valley in particular, or Club, out at Kenmore. I just know it as the venue out there at Kenmore. But anyway, there are some really good venues that I think you'd be wonderfully suited to. You've got that cool. That whole Friday night chill vibe about you guys going on. So if that can happen, man, do it.
Yeah. No, that's kind of the idea. It's what I've always done in my other bands as well. Kind of just been on the road. So, I think around September we'll start branching out. I might hit you up for a good venue. Maybe.
Yeah, no, reach out, man. Yeah, it's no dramas at all. I'll when I release the podcast episode, man, I'll just text you my details anyway. I've got your number here, so
cool.
If you need to, mate. Yeah, there's some good promoters up here actually, and good agents. Pushworth, Mick at Pushworth. I've put the guys from Foxton Kings in touch with him about a year ago or so, and
nice.
I wasn't able to see them, unfortunately, just so busy with everything, kids, life, you know how it is.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I get out bugger all to go and watch shows, and it annoys me sometimes because I'd love to see so many of the great artists that I interview.
Yeah. No, I know what it's like, but I'm trying to get to more shows actually at the moment. It's still inspiring when you see a good show.
Hey, tell me about how do you balance everything? Because if you want to play and tour, and well, not so much tour, but just go and play some shows elsewhere. And music's obviously a deep passion of yours. What do you do for a day job, balancing everything else out?
I do a little bit of work for the studio that my brother works in. Like I just help out on the desk, and I do a bit of care work as well on the side. And that helps me pay the rent when I'm, not making money from shows and stuff.
Yeah, pardon my ignorance, but what's care work?
Care work, like looking after, it can be looking after anyone really, but in my case, it's like brain damaged patients.
Okay, I thought it might have been that, but I thought it might have been also assisting the elderly, that sort of a thing as well. It's a big thing up here to try to get people.
It is that too. Yeah.
Right, yeah. You got a lot of patience then, I take it.
No, I just work in one house. There's kind of like nine people that I work with. But but you mainly end up working with a couple of them. But I just found that was it's a really good gig to match with music because, well, for one, I can sometimes play music there, and just it's not like too tied to an office or anything, which is helpful.
Yeah, that is helpful.
Yeah.
I don't think after my many years at Telstra I could ever go back into working in a corporation style environment in an office in a cubicle. They are very strange places at the best of times.
Yeah, it can get a bit funny, I think. I'm pretty naturally active person, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's
cool. I find jobs that are like that match that. Even build a bit of building here and there and whatever. Like you do the artist thing where you do a million different jobs, juggle a million different jobs in 2 bands, and whatever you can do really. But yeah, I quite like what I'm doing at the moment, which is nice.
Yeah, it sounds to me like as though you've got a sense of purpose and mission about your life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I like to write, and you need to be living to do that, I think, you know? And also you reach a certain point where you realize that that's now, you need to do what it takes now, to do that. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm always looking for ways to, balance it better, I guess, It can be hard when you want to do music all the time, and but also at a certain point you want to break from that too, and know there's more to the world. Helps you losing yourself up your own crack, I guess.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, travel's a good mediator in that regard, I think. And I mean, you've got some exposure there to some people that don't have the fortune that a lot of people have got. Put it that way. So you get a lot of perspective and context from that. And that always aids and assists, I think, in the creative process. I think it gives you sharp focus because it means that you're very grateful for the gifts that you've got.
No, it's true, and then it's funny. Like a lot of these guys are really funny and inspiring. So that sort of helps. I guess I hit a certain point in my life where I was just a bit of a brat, and then this definitely has helped me kind of open my eyes. Yeah, but I'm still a bit of a brat sometimes.
I like the video as well. The whole mattress thing. Can you talk about the concept there? Because that was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because when you listen to the song, as I had a few times, and then found your video on Facebook. I didn't, in a very positive sense, I say this. I wasn't expecting video to be like that. It's actually really, really well done. It's professionally executed. But
Thank you.
But the theme
Thank
as
you very
well.
Much.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, it's all there. You're doing all of the things that I think bands need to do, and it's so important to have video on Facebook because I'm a mature age student at university again, and I'm doing social media, majoring in social media, journalism degree in social media.
Okay.
But on Facebook, it's all about video, and you've got a wonderful video to attract people to you, and to keep you on your Facebook page when you get there. So, sorry, after all of that, and after I asked my initial question, can you tell me about the theme that's through the video?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We so that's my brother actually playing the lead role in that.
Ah, right.
That script, and we met. Well, Mish actually, the key player, when we were talking about putting a video together, was he's like, I know this Chilean girl who he met her at a gig, I think. He's like, she does film. She also does music, but she does film. We're like, okay, we'll meet her, and then we got her into a room. Basically, Galen, Mish, and I, and Barbara were talking, and it turned into just we just bounced off each other and came up with this concept. And then Barbara took it away and actually wrote the script, and she just had this idea of two brothers that were sort of reflections of each other and alternate versions of each other, and whether that was potentially just one version of myself, as well. But that's open to interpretation. But yeah, kind of fighting over where they've ended up in their life. I think we even had a subtext of a story about someone needing to go to New Zealand to look after their sick mother, and they were fighting over that, But then it turned into this whole other thing. But it just it was really fun to make, and now I look at it almost in a completely different light. I see it like it's like a transformation video or something. It's probably my reading of it now, a video about transformation.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. Yeah. I love the use of the mattress too. That was really unexpected there toward the end after that, the punching, using it as a punching bag. And the painting, I mean, it's very symbolic, and it's sort of open to interpretation, but at the same time, it's really suggestive of a few things. Just that inner frustration that we all have.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's and the I mean, the way it slides into the water. So the mattress slides into the water. Yeah. How did you not get it to sink?
Yeah.
So I'm looking and thinking, oh, that's going under. Yeah.
We got it. It's actually on like I guess, like a ramp kind of situation. So it's like sort of like resting on this ramp. You can't really see it. But yeah, we didn't have too long to shoot that scene. So it was kind of in and out. And it was the last scene. So we were just like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just mess it up. And that's probably my favorite shot in the clip, actually, right there at the end. I know a few people have thought different things, like, oh, that's heavy. Like, oh, was it about suicide or whatever? That's not how I read it. But
oh God, I didn't read that into it either.
Yeah, no, I didn't read into that. But a few people have just had different kind of takes on it, which is, I guess, that we left it open, in that regard. But yeah, the mattress is definitely metaphoric. Like it's definitely references a few different things.
Yeah.
What is it? Your dreams or whatever you want it to be.
Well, they talk about...
So that was cool to do that clip.
They talk about hitting the mattress, right? It's a saying, isn't it? When you go to sleep, you hit the mattress.
Yeah.
I thought it might have been a reference to that. You're hitting the mattress is sort of, the same way that sleep helps exercise some things, so does punching the mattress.
Absolutely.
And with the colours on it were very suggestive of a dreamscape, I thought. And I think the other thing I thought was, how the hell are you going to clean all of that up? With all of the stuff on the ground that I could see there. You just hose it away?
What you do is you get the mattress, you put it in the ute, and then you drive it to your dad's building site, and you say, "Dad, can you put this in the skip for me?" And that's it. You're done with it.
Oh, you're done. You're cactus. Yeah, no worries. It's sorted. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of thought that's gone into it. I think it's great that you got the one song in market. It's very, from the sounds of things, very representative of who you guys are and the other music that you'll be creating. You got this really well done video. There's a lot going on for you, and it's the other thing too, man. It strikes me as though you're prepared to prepared to give this the time that it needs too. You're going to let it base for a little bit rather than trying to force things through, and you're doing things the right way by inviting your friends and friends of friends along to a warehouse gig and putting on some food and some bevies or what have you, and just sort of creating a bit of a community.
Yeah, that's what you need at the beginning, and like just we need it as much as what we're giving, and like we've already had a lot of support from our inner circle, and like you want it to be fun, right? It needs to be fun. So we're trying to harvest that.
I don't like you, mate. You sound like a lifer like me, mate. I couldn't tell you how many bands I've been in, but I can almost tell you there's only been one or two that have been genuinely fun. Included the one I'm in at the moment is one of them, But prior to that, there's always some bullshit going on, or somebody somewhere, and people who aren't musicians or aren't in bands, they don't understand how difficult it is to get four people in the same room and actually get them rowing in the same direction musically.
Oh, it's crazy. Like I wonder how any band stays together, and that's sort of also, I guess, the magic to it when they do, It's kind of like, how did that, what's happening there, you know? Like, you guys obviously are really into what you're doing. There's obviously something going on. So no, but this has been cool. This has been a really cool project.
That's great. Well, this has been a wonderful chat, mate. I've really appreciated it. I don't know, we've sort of gone all over the map, but that's good, man. That's what I love to do with these sorts of things. You know, they're meant to be conversations about whatever we feel like talking about. You've got this really good song here, as I've already mentioned. Congratulations on it again. And I guess my final question is, if you're comfortable with everything we've spoken about, because I certainly am, I'll just release it, mate, and send you the link via text.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, go for it. Looking forward to it.
Wicked. All right. Well, that was a good chat, mate. Good luck with everything.
Okay,
and
man.
if you can, if you want to,
much.
if you need some help with a venue up here or something like that, I don't own a venue myself or what have you. But I'm good with the agents, mate. If you need any help with an agent, just let me know.
Yeah, I'll definitely get a few names off you. That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, sweet. No worries.
Okay, man. Thanks for that.
No worries, brother. All the best with it.
I'll speak to you soon. You too.
Okay, gotcha. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that was Jordan Wilson from the Sydney act Valley Onda. Thanks so much for listening.